Welcome back to Fireside Yankees with your boys, Alex and Ryan. Just a little precursor. It's going to be drilling above my head. Don't know what they're doing, but if you've been a fan of the Yankees, Fireside Yankees podcast for a long time, you tend to know that people like to demolish their kitchens above my head and then rebuild them every day. So this is nothing new for me and Ryan, but if you're new to the channel, for some reason I can't avoid the construction happening around me in New York City. It follows me wherever I go. But nonetheless, we're still going to talk about Austin Wells and him taking this cleanup job, man. I mean, Jose Trevino's injured. He's coming back, hopefully, in a couple weeks and offer some support there. But in the meantime, Austin Wells has claimed that starting job, in my opinion. He is the starting catcher for the New York Yankees. Defensively, above average. Offensively, he's making a name for himself, hitting well with runners in scoring position. His numbers are skyrocketing. This is a long-term solution for this Yankee team, Ryan. How are you feeling about Austin Wells, and where do you project he goes the rest of the season? And do you think he's the long-term solution at cleanup?
I think he 100% can be. He's done a great job of generating line drives and pulled contact in the air. Something we talked about extensively is where his role defensively, how he's going to fit in with Trevino coming into the season. And dude, he's passed every test. He is one of the best defensive catchers in all of baseball. He's a well-rounded player. He has a 2.6 F4 in 75 games. Now his career numbers in 94 games, 111 WRC+, 2.9 WAR, 12 home runs. Like, he's just really become a good player. Like, he's straight up a good baseball player. And when you look at what Volpe's becoming, when you look at kind of what you've gotten out of Luis Seal, hopefully what you can get out of Clark Schmidt, you know, you see signs with Ben Rice where it's like he hits the ball hard, he does some really good things at the plate. We'll have to see if he can get the ball to fall. The offense, the young guys coming through, they've got some guys they can now plug in and hopefully have in their long-term plans. Jose Trevino is under contract for next season. And I'm not saying that the Yankees 100% won't trade him, but I do feel confident in saying that they will retain him. I'm not saying Narvaez doesn't have a shot to do anything, but they haven't played Narvaez in a stretch where they've really had opportunities to. They seem to kind of be avoiding using him, and there is a drop-off in defensive quality from Jose Trevino to any other catcher you could really imagine going to. So definitely somebody that I still think is in the Yankees' plans in the near future. But as it pertains to Austin Wells, I 100% agree. He has taken this starting job. He has run with this starting job. He has earned the starting job. He is a great defensive catcher. He is a pretty good hitter. And really, the Yankees need somebody who could do the job at the cleanup spot. And Austin Wells has done the job at the cleanup spot. I don't know how long he'll sustain this. He was really red hot in July and June. We'll see if he can keep the ball rolling, but he provides some power. He's got good on-base skills. He has a great feel for the strike zone. He has a great feel for swing decisions. He's starting to generate that really strong feel for contact as well. I think that bats against lefties have become really impressive. He can barrel the baseball. I feel like I'm watching a guy mature from really, a prospect who kind of lost his way in 23. I remember he had a really nasty slump in July, and it really was like, what happened? Why can't he hit? What's going on here? And dude, he's found it. He's really clicked, and he's really become this player that, I mean, dude, he's just a stud. He's straight up rocks. He's the kind of catcher you've wanted the Yankees to have. We've wanted the Yankees to have for a really long time, and hopefully this is a trend. Not a trend, but this is a kind of what we come to expect from Austin Wells: a good bat and a really good glove, because he's really evolved, man, and I'm truly impressed with what he's done.
He has absolutely evolved. 25-year-old rookie catcher. I mean, you don't expect much from this guy going into the season. You hope that he can make some developmental strides forward. He's become one of the best defensive catchers in the game. 13th in strike rate and 6th in catcher framing runs. I believe he ranks way up there in framing in general at 90-something percentile. He's way up there. 93rd percentile in framing and 73rd percentile in blocks above average. 49.1% striker rate. I mean, this is a guy that is developing quickly into a primo defensive catcher, and if he keeps going, you're going to find yourself maybe a top 5 defensive catcher in baseball. Maybe he's already getting there as a rookie. And then offensively, he's got pop to his bat. He does so many good things for you. Over the past 30 days, he's red hot, hitting 299 with a 395 OBP, 4 homers, and 12 RBIs. That's really good. He's hitting 241 this season with runners in scoring position. Of course, you want that to be a number that keeps increasing. Hitting cleanup, though, Ryan, 347 with a 414 OBP and a 531 slugging rate with a 165 WRC+. How important is it that you have a catcher, or rather not even a catcher, a player in general, with those type of numbers batting cleanup behind Juan Soto and Aaron Judge, right? That's what you need. Now, We know teams are walking Aaron Judge. We know teams want to see Austin Wells. And Austin Wells is like, hey, guys, like, I'm actually pretty good. You probably shouldn't walk Aaron Judge every time because I'm going to do some damage every now and then. Is there anything that you'd like to see him improve, though? Is there anything that you think, well, Austin Wells looks great, but these areas I still think he can make some strides in and get better? I mean, so far he's getting better in all the right categories. But is there anything that stands out to you as, this is something I do think he still has to work on?
I mean, for me, it's really just like, can we continue to hit for more power, right? Like, the power still has to come around, and it's come around as of late. It wasn't there early in the season. He has 8 home runs in the year, which doesn't seem like a lot, but 6 of them have come over his last 30 games. So he's played 75 over the first 45. Really, on June 23rd, he had 2 home runs, and he was an awful hitter, like, at that point in time. It's pretty incredible. Like, if you look at his numbers on, really, on June 22nd, let's say, he was hitting 205. He had 2 home runs, as I mentioned, a 76 WRC plus, a 607 OPS. He stunk at the plate for a really good chunk of the season. He's gotten red hot. It's kind of also a matter of, I guess, the word I would like to use, consistency. Like, you don't want it to be these massive ebbs and flows. You would like to make sure that it's a consistent kind of churn of success. Granted, struggling early in your career offensively isn't really that, like, crazy. Like, it's not shocking that he struggled to get the ball rolling in his first few at-bats. I also don't think it's crazy to say that he was going to struggle to get going with inconsistent reps. Now, I know people get on Aaron Boone about that. Personally, I understood why Trevino was getting the majority of the at-bats. There was a stretch, and I think you remember that exact stretch where he started hitting a bunch of home runs. He was playing really well. Winning games is the priority. Development is important, but, development can happen at the major league level, but Aaron Boone's going to try to win baseball games. And there was a point in time which Trevino was certainly giving him the better chance to win baseball games. Now, with Austin Wells hitting the way he's hitting, he's giving them a better chance to win baseball games than Jose Trevino is. So, overall, I mean, I guess to kind of wrap back to the original question, I just want to see more consistent power. I don't want it to kind of come in ebbs and flows. I would like it to be a consistent thing that he can click and he can rely upon, because consistency is key so that you can keep your job, and so you don't, your job isn't constantly in question. And honestly, I think that's going to just keep him getting everyday consistent reps, and I think that'll make him a better hitter and a better baseball player.
Absolutely. I mean, look, Austin Wells has become not just a staple for this lineup, but one of the better defensive players at his position in baseball. It gave us the ability to justify trading Agustin Ramirez, who some people label as a generational bat at the minor league level. Of course, different story at the major league level. We haven't seen him there just yet. Going over to the Marlins, where he'll definitely get some playing time, and they'll probably end up trading him in 3 years anyway. Maybe he'll come right back to the Yankees at the end of the day. You never know. So, this is kind of a situation where the Yankees, Austin Wells' development has allowed them to be more proactive in trading a guy like Agustin Ramirez and getting a Jazz Chisholm. So you look at some of the benefits of him excelling is you get Jazz Chisholm because of it. Because otherwise the Yankees might have said, well, we don't know what Austin Wells is. We don't know what he's going to become. We need to keep Agustin Ramirez because otherwise our catcher position could deteriorate as Trevino heads towards free agency in 2 years. But also, you just don't get the offensive production you're looking for. And having an offensive catcher with this type of quality is rare. It's a unique scenario. If this offense can get to a point where we feel like they're kind of balanced throughout, we're going to be in a good spot. And I know, Ryan, you and I, and this is kind of a little bit of a tangent as we normally go on, we were talking about solutions at second base potentially, and the Yankees do have a minor leaguer in Caleb Durbin, and I think that we'll do a primary episode just on Caleb Durbin. Coming back from injury, he's rejoining AAA right now. He's played like 47 games this year, hitting 300. The guy's a monster. This guy has a 9.8% strikeout rate. Do not sleep on him. A lot of people are not talking about him. A lot of people will say Yorbit Vivas, good player, but Caleb Durbin's a low-key kind of potential solution at second base long-term, so keep your eyes peeled for him. Ryan, I'll give ourselves credit. We've been knock on with a lot of these prospects. Ben Rice and what he's brought to the table. Of course, he's still developing. Austin Wells, we've been on that for months now, if not the better part of a year, talking about this. The Yankees have leveraged some of their talent. Of course, Jason Dominguez, speaks for himself. We don't need to be big advocates of his to know that he's great. Spencer Jones, we're big advocates of him, but still trying to get those chase rates and whiff rates down a bit. But this is another guy in Caleb Durbin that, I know, Ryan, you're a big fan of. Do you think he could be a potential long-term solution at second base right now? I think he definitely is on our list of guys that we're watching over the next couple months.
Yeah, he's a very interesting player in this organization because he's versatile, playing second, and as you mentioned with Jazz Chisholm, and you talked about like the ability to get Jazz Chisholm because Wells has been so good that you're able to, that you're able to go out and kind of trade Ramirez and not feel like you're losing something massive in the organization. It would have helped to have Ramirez and Wells, but I mean, again, like one of them has to be designated as a primary. Does Ramirez necessarily profile as a backup? I'm not particularly sure. But another wrinkle of this is that now Jazz Chism's figuring out how to play third, and he looks pretty good there. The Yankees have a lot more at second base than they do at third base. Jazz Chism being a third baseman would go a long way because Caleb Durbin's probably a better profile for second base defensively. He's got some really good defensive skills. He's got great range. He's a good athlete. It's why he runs the base so well. His feel for contact is remarkable. His play discipline is pretty strong. The game power has improved because of his ability to go gap to gap with doubles and extend singles into doubles. Granted, I don't know how it translates to the major league level. I can't, tell you how that's going to look, but I can tell you that from a defensive standpoint, I think from a defensive and base running standpoint, I'm going to get a lot of value, excuse me. And by getting a lot of value, like I think value comes, like everyone kind of focused on offense, and I get why. Offense is the thing we can visibly see. Defense, base running, these things add up. Like, look, Anthony Volpe, and I know this is a point about Anthony Volpe that will translate to hopefully a point about Caleb Durbin. Anthony Volpe is somebody I think we're all kind of hesitant to call, like a lot of people are hesitant to call a good baseball player. Anthony Volpe has 3.6 F4. That's 15th among position players. Now I think I have to filter for zero. No, it's tied for 15th. Excuse me, because Patrick Bailey is 14th, but it doesn't show up among qualified players. That's a really good baseball player. Like Anthony Volpe has a higher WAR than guys like Alec Boehm, than guys like William Adames, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Corey Seager, Colton Cowser, Christian Yelich, Christian Walker, Yordan Alvarez, right? Jose Altuve, Brandon Nimmo, like we're talking about really good ball players, guys who have received heavy extensions or have signed multiple large contracts in their career, or the only reason they haven't is because they're super young. I mean, these guys are really good ball players. Anthony Volpe's a really good ball player. He is, and that's because he's a great defender and a great base runner. Caleb Durbin is a really strong defender and a really good base runner. If he's a 95 WRC plus hitter or 100 WRC plus hitter, there's a good chance he's a quality major leaguer. If you can figure out the cornerstone positions we need offense, whether that's first base, maybe Ben Rice steps up, maybe you find a guy. At third base, I think Jazz has found his bat, and I think Jazz can be a strong third base option for you. If Volpe and Durbin can be enough offensively, and if you can keep Soto, you have Soto and Judge, those two guys mash. Hopefully Dominguez can come up and mash. Wells can really hit. Stanton, I know when he gets back online, he can hit. That's when you have a deep, like 1 through 9 lineup. They can play defense. They can run the bases well. They can hit the ball 1,000,000 miles an hour. They can, work strong counts. They aren't overly reliant on. They're not overly, they don't have a massive strikeout weakness. Like this team, this offense, it's got question marks for sure. It's not a deep lineup compared to other lineups. The Orioles are better 1 through 9, but the Yankees have the 2 best hitters on the planet, and the Yankees have the highest WRC plus on the planet, and they have the 10th lowest strikeout rate in baseball. But they also barrel the baseball more than everybody else. But they're also first in runs scored. I think it's important to point out, as much as you and I may have concerns or quarrels with the offense, they are number 1 in a lot of things. They're number 1 in a lot of important categories. This team really does a great job of putting up runs. Even when they struggled, they were able to put up runs. I feel like the question with this team right now is just the pitching. We saw the bullpen really step up over the last 2 days. Holmes came in and, it's bases loaded. Granted, the winning run wasn't at the plate, but he just goes in there and it's surgical. It's 3 sliders to George Springer, and that game is over. The game on Sunday, Mark Leiter Jr. rocks. Dude comes in, gets a big save. You got enough from Garrett Cole in that start. You got enough from Rodon in his start. You didn't really get enough from Stroman, but that's a different conversation. This team has an offensive identity. I think it's starting to finally form, and it's Judge and Soto rock, and the other guys are finally doing enough. If those guys can remain good enough and they can keep playing great defense, they keep running, have more guys who can run the bases. Chism, dude, I love how Chism and Volpe can. Remember that double steal? I forget what game it was. They had a double steal. They executed it. It helped generate runs. Those 2 guys are dynamic on the base path. They're electric on the base path. That's important. Durbin will certainly bring that to the table. Wells isn't a slouch either. Wells isn't slow. He isn't going to steal a bunch of bases, but he's a young, athletic player. He's a great defender. Having this young, burgeoning core, I think, the first game of that Blue Jay series, they had maybe 2 or 3 players over 30-something years, or over 27 years old, playing in that lineup. That's incredible, man. How many guys are homegrown who are playing on this team? Wells, Volpe, Torres, I know wasn't technically homegrown, but we did develop and debut him, so I'm going to count him on that list. Rice is homegrown. Heel is a homegrown pitcher. They've done a really good job of finally, like, I feel like the farm is finally helping the major league team, and it that hasn't connected. They haven't synced up to get value from their farm system really in quite some time. They're finally getting it, Alex, and it's really awesome to see because we've been pounding the table about these guys can play, these guys can contribute, and they're finally giving them the chance to, and they've done their jobs.
Absolutely. Look, this team is surging right now, not to keep, capitalizing on wins. We talked about it yesterday on the podcast. August is a very easy schedule. Need to win these series, need to take a lead in the American League East over the Orioles. But guys, always happy to hear your thoughts down below in the YouTube comment section. Make sure to like, subscribe as always. I'll catch you guys on the next Fireside Yankees episode.
Perfect.